In technical services, we get requests constantly for data ingress and egress to meet our customers' requirements. So we're the customization arm of Medidata for our tools. We're constantly getting these requests for customizations, for data coming in, data coming out. And there's a lot of considerations with that. So first is interoperability. What we're finding is that data, even within our own systems and our external systems, all have their own fingerprints. All have different ways of accessing them, some APIs, other methods. Unifying that, trying to have tools that allow us to gather that data, aggregate it is very important. In Medidata, we use a number of ETL tools to try to make the communication agnostic. We've been at the forefront, in fact, of standardizing some of these interfaces, including a new tool which allows for seamless integration between Medidata's tools and external EHR systems. Security and privacy is very important as well, obviously, and we'll talk about that more later. We want to make sure that the data that our customers entrust with us is secure. Medidata takes that very seriously. But we also have an additional responsibility to make sure that data is not unblinded inappropriately, that data is not exposed. So we take that as a high priority. We use a number of standard and industry-recognized encryption protocols. Sovereign regulatory restrictions, this is important as well. When trying to aggregate data, we want to make sure that we're not violating sovereign requirements and regulations. Data quality, so making sure that the data you ingress and egress is of good quality. We can implement things like anomaly detectors to make sure the data is clean as it's coming in or as it's going out. And finally, something that's emerging right now is aggregated versus structured data. Aggregated structured versus unstructured data. So in the past, most data was structured. We can hold it in a standard SQL database. What we're finding now is that more data is unstructured. So that could be physician notes. It could be real-world data from sensors. How do we combine those in such a way that they're organized and aggregatable? One thing that we do is try to create kind of data dictionaries. So we kind of keep the data aligned with that.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
Can you explain a little bit around data integration and how these diverse data sources can be integrated together and provide a comprehensive view around patient data in clinical trials?
So there's lots of opportunities, especially in metadata, where we have access to so many different systems, and each system has a different flavor of the clinical trial. At Medidata and Dell Systems, we like to think of data to inform what we call digital twins or simulants. And those digital twins and simulants can be used in many different ways to get an overall picture of health of a patient, to predict outcomes of patients in clinical trials. We have one application where we're trying to predict how sites will do in recruiting patients from a diversity standpoint and from a patient recruitment standpoint. So there's lots of opportunities to aggregate data and to make these insights about patients. We have a large effort in Medidata to collect imaging data. We're implementing AI and ML around that. So lots of opportunities there.
Thank you, Ron. Now next, on you, Carlos. Can you elaborate a little bit on data quality measures and governance in the context of patient data?
So data quality measures are important for the patient. It's, from the moment from cleansing to validating, we need to make sure that the data is right and to get the right patient profile. Then an example I have on how bad data quality it affected my life, in this case, was when my first child was born. He was almost a month early, so he went to the NICU for 10 days. During the first day in the NICU, they did a urine test, and they found that he had narcotics in his blood, in his urine. So all of a sudden, my wife and I got involved with child services because they thought my wife was taking drugs, illegal drugs. And for the period of 7 days, we were through pretty much hell on having to prove our innocence with child services. Every time we went to the NICU to see the mark, all the nurses and doctors were looking at us like looking at, at these bad people, very much. And, it was really bad. But one day, on the 7th day of all this ordeal, we started asking questions like, when did you do the urine test? And then he was given morphine for an intubation. So when did you give morphine for the intubation? And when the nurses started looking at all the information, then they realized that they gave morphine an hour or so before they took the urine test. And that was pretty much proving our innocence. And, and until then, we were thinking that we were going to go home. He was going to go to, someone else's house to be taken care of for some time. So, until once finished this ordeal, once they realized they got the wrong data, right, then they cleared us for having him. So, it was not a nice experience, but, that's all nice. That's all thanks to having the data somewhere, but not having it readily available. Then, with regards to what we do at Medidata, we are industry experts, and we follow best practices for data cleansing and validation. And this ensures that we have the right data and the right information. We also follow data governance on everything that we do to ensure that we are in compliance and that we follow the security.
Thank you, Carlos, for having the courage to share your personal experience and showing an example of what it means to harmonize the data. Next, Susannah, can you explain how you optimize data for analytics through transformation in our platform?
Certainly. In technical services, we work on transforming and visualizing data to make it readily accessible for analytics. This involves data modeling, structuring, and creating views that make the data more user-friendly for our stakeholders. One thing at Medidata that we really do is we treat data as a data product. That means that we design the data schemas and the views with a business mindset. We figure out how the data will be most useful, and we tailor that to the specific needs of our stakeholders and their roles. This enables them to have the right data at the right time, basically at their fingertips, to provide the most comprehensive visualizations to support their business needs and areas. At Medidata, we believe that stakeholders should spend their time analyzing and diving into the details of their data to drive their outcomes and their understanding of those outcomes instead of struggling to create it. We assist our stakeholders by supplying specific needs-focused data products, and we help our data scientists at all levels to fulfill their mission, strengthen their data analysis, and clinical assessment to their clinical trials.
Thank you, Susannah. Can you elaborate a little bit how does data transformation contribute to self-service analytics within the data platform we have?
Sure, absolutely. Data transformation simplifies the process of accessing and analyzing the data. By preparing data for the self-service analytics, our organizations are empowered to explore their own data, create their own reports, and gain insights independently. We denormalize the data, breaking it into data-friendly views and business terminology that they are used to and they understand. We take the complexity out of analytics by providing pre-built aggregates, formulas, and data hierarchies. We provide the abilities to roll up, expand, drill down, drill across, etc., to really dive into their data. And additionally, our data products go through an extensive validation process to ensure quality and accuracy. Like I said, we really want our stakeholders to focus on analyzing their data and understanding their data instead of trying to struggle to create it.
Thank you, Susannah. These insights are very valuable. Let's touch a little bit on some other aspects. Carlos, what role do you feel that a well-organized data catalog and metadata management plays in a modern data platform?
So they are essential on a modern data platform. Basically, having standards, it speeds up processing the data, it speeds up importing the data. It helps on all these factors. It also is more beneficial for the user that looks at the data. It shows them what data is available instead of them having to dig and find out exactly what nodes or what things are in there. So it enables the user to make to make self-service analytics and data-driven decisions.
Thank you. Susannah, how does your team assist in implementing data visualization tools and analytic platforms for all our customers as we are serving sponsors, CROs, biotechs, and all of that?
So at Medidata, we take in data from the various Medidata platforms, such as Ray VDC, device-related data, adverse event data, and we combine that into a master data platform. And like I said, from that platform, we create specialized data products to support different areas. Let's take eCOA for an example. At Medidata, we combine traditional EDC study data that's collected at the site level, as well as patient and diary-centric data collected from the mobile devices. From there, we can dive into the reporting areas of needs, such as monitoring visit compliance, reporting of symptoms, and capturing of adverse events. All of this in real time. We combine this data into user-friendly views that give the stakeholders an opportunity to slice and dice to suit their needs. Visualization is very important because each person has a personalized view of how they can best ingest the information or explain the information. So we use easy-to-use visualization tools that will allow for the study users to create their own dashboards and reports that are represented in a way that is most meaningful to them.
Thank you, Susannah. Ronn, back to you. As you are in charge of DevOps, integrations, imaging, we have all these data volumes that they are not getting less, they're growing. So how do you ensure the scalability of the platform?
Yeah, scalability is clearly important. I think everyone here knows that clinical trials generate just a vast amount of data, and it's ever increasing. As we also introduce medical imaging into that mix, those data volumes are huge. So having a scalable cloud solution is clearly important. We have to start thinking about also redundant storage in single cloud and even multi-cloud solutions. The data is so costly that we have to protect it. Classification of those sources is also very important. So there's always a trade-off between readily available data stores versus long-term storage. So we can think about ways of classifying the data into data that we need to have for immediate analytics and aggregation versus data that we could put away for use later for in-depth analysis. So classification there is very important to balance the need for readily available data and cost. One other thing that we think about is aggregating data on ingest. So we bring the data in, we aggregate it, and we store the aggregations in a real-time accessible way. And again, put more of the raw data in a long-term storage for savings of cost. Having availability of the data, though, is very important, and making those decisions up front can be very useful to clients as they're doing their aggregates and their analytics.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
Carlos, can you shed some light on how you maintain data security and compliance with regulatory standards in healthcare and clinical research?
Sure. So their security and compliance is not negotiable in our field. Medidata leads the pack on security and compliance, really. We follow state-of-the-art technology and techniques. We have over 12 certifications on security and compliance. We actually were among the first ones to achieve the SOC 2 certification, that is about privacy. And we recently had the EU, the data privacy framework and the China data process exhibit certifications. These are for cross-border data exchange of personally identified information.
Excellent. And now our favorite topic, back to you, Ron. Can you discuss artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities within the platform, especially in the area of automation and advanced analytics?
So users of Medidata have a unique opportunity here, given our suite of tools and how we look at clinical trials from every aspect. The data that clients have access to is just vast and enormous. We can make analyses and aggregates from that data and look at the whole patient and a whole subject from that data. There's a number of different efforts within Medidata happening, some of which are coming to fruition. One effort is in clinical imaging, so helping physicians identify tumor volumes. We have a very exciting program around synthetic data and synthetic arms for rare diseases. As I mentioned earlier, we're using all this data to help us and help our clients with site selection through intelligent trials. So the opportunities within Medidata for AI advancement are just great, and it's a very exciting time for our clients who can utilize all this data to make these new models. I want to comment also about generative AI. So there's lots of opportunities there as well. I think there's opportunities for generative AI to affect every aspect of the clinical trial, from scheduling to assisting physicians, assisting trials. And all this data can feed into those generative AIs. Now, the critical part, though, is having that data readily accessible for the AI models to train. And that feeds into kind of the storage and the cloud aspect of things. So lots of challenges, lots of opportunities with AI within Medidata.
So I would like to thank today Susannah Olliviere, Carlos Calvo, and Ronn Walvick for helping us navigate the complex web of healthcare data.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.